Now we'll be learning the seventh chapter of our social studies, that is settlements and migrants. So first of all, what is meant by settlements? Settlements is that, don't think about settlements means again outside, generally what we call as land settlements, financial settlements, house settlements, not these settlements. Settlements are that where people make a habitat for their own living by seeing different types of resources or the facilities like education, health, work, as well as transportation and even many other resources which are required for them, that we call as a settlements. So generally human settlements are that where they establish, where they find all the facilities, all the needed required resources and all the required necessities and needs where they can fulfill, where they can get all the things, all the amenities, that they establish a human habitat, that we call as a settlements. Then what is mean by migrants? Migrants means moving from one place to another place, maybe in search of work, maybe for the sake of education, maybe for the sake of health, or maybe climatic conditions, or what it might be. We have one or the other reason to move from one place to another place, that we call as a migrants. So in this particular chapter of 7th lesson of social studies, we will be learning about settlements and migrants. So first of all, if we see about the settlements, so what type of settlements we can find? The human habitats, generally what we call as a human settlements, where and what type of settlements we can find or will be seen in our country. Say for example, we see if the city of Shimla, earlier it has been planned for having only some 25,000 of population, but now the population of Shimla town is more than 2 lakhs. That means the planning of that town has been made for only 25,000 people. But at present, the population of Shimla town is more than 2 lakhs, approximately, not accurate or exactly, generally. So likewise, here we have a planning system for every town or every city or every village. Accordingly, the settlements or the habitats or the migrants need to be. But here, because of the rapid growth of different types of things like industrialization, urbanization, or in search of work, or maybe development of education, or lack of resources, whatever may be the reason, one or the other, but people are moving from one place to another place because of these. Even if you want, you can check about in your own town, your own village, your own city, what is the area, what is the town planning, how the town planning has been made. Say for example, a town need to be planned in a proper manner, like how it is, like place for human settlements, that is construction of houses. Then place for business, place for markets, place for schools, place for recreation. Recreations means like what we call as theaters, parks, and so on. So like this, recreation also. That means like this, for all these things we need to have proper planning. If you see the town of your own city or your own village or your own town, you can find all the houses, residential areas will be in one particular area, then entire market will be in some particular area, schools, almost majority of the schools will be in the nearby vicinity, and then like hospitals also again. One more thing is hospitals. Like that, we have all the different types of things or different types of settlements or different types of things in a proper planned way, that only we call it as a town planning or city planning or village planning. But nowadays these settlements have been made inappropriate. That means before the planning itself, most of the settlements have been human habitats have been settled or occupied the space. How, what it has been happened, all these things we will be learning in our upcoming topics. So now we will be learning how are these settlements began. Actually till 1.8 million years, 1.8 million years, human being has been lived in bands. Bands. What is meant by this band? Band is not the friendship band or the rubber band or some other bands. Band is group. Even we will be seeing music band. That means a group of people who harmonizes music. That called music band. So like that, here we have this band. So people used to live in bands till 1.5 million years ago. The people used to live in 1.8 lakh years. People used to live in bands. So at that time, people, the human beings used to be not that awareness. They doesn't have that much of knowledge what at present scenario the human beings are. They are the food gatherers, not the producers. They are the food gatherers. So they used to live in bands. Slowly, by and by, as the changes occurred in the society, as the changes occurred geographically, as well as even other ways, the same way even there is a change in the human being. So from food gatherer, he has been emerged as a food producer. So food producer means nothing but where he started practicing agriculture. So from food gatherer to food producer he had been changed. When he had been turned or evolved in a process as a from food gatherer to food producer, then a lot of changes have been happened. As by and by, as we know that human wants are unlimited and human wants are more and more, it's increasing. There is no end, there is no limit for the human wants. The same way, even the person as he is evolving, as a human being is evolving from gatherer to the producer, in this cycle, in this life process, in this system, in this process, he has been emerged into a modern man or the current man, where he had been segregated, where he had been bifurcated himself with many of the things, where he had been gathered many things for his own lifestyle, for his improvement, betterment, and many other factors which add upon his life. So like this human habitat or human settlements have been happened. Now, why do these human settlements change? Say for example, till last 5 years I was in my town, in my own village. But now from past 5 years I am staying in Hyderabad city. What is the reason? Because till 5 years I used to work in my own village, my own town, there itself. And I was happy and satisfied with whatever the income I used to get. When I felt that I can earn more by moving from my town to the city, metropolitan city like Hyderabad. When I decided, I thought the cons and pros. I inquired everything. I had a groundwork, I planned properly, and then I shifted. I moved from my village to Hyderabad town. So, which indeed, what I thought, my motto was to earn more money than my village. Okay, what I used to earn in my village. My motto is in search of employment, in search of better livelihood. So, because of this, I have been moved. So, because of this, my settlement has been changed from village to town. Like me, there are some lakhs of people, crores of people who are migrating every day because of one or the other reason. Here, if we see the example of a case study like the Delhi, okay, all of us know that Delhi was a capital city, as well as, of course, even now also it's the capital city of India, of our country. So, as we know that it is a centered part, it is a centered town to many of the nearby places, many of the rural areas, many of the nearby states. So as it became a center point and people started moving to Delhi from in and around nearby states as well as nearby towns as well as cities, because the first thing is it's the capital city, so it has a parliament, all the central government offices. Along with that, even it is providing with many facilities like education, health, transportation, then business, trade, commerce, as well as transportation from from our country to other countries, like domestic as well as international transportations. Like this, all these things it is provided. So what has been happened? So the population has been increased in eightfold. Actually, at the time when the Delhi city had been, even we have been learned, even in our history also, Delhi was a center of many of the kingdoms, like maybe Delhi Sultanates or maybe Mughals. Like that, large kingdoms also have been made Delhi as a center of their own kingdoms. So in this process, when this has been happened, then people started moving to find their own facilities, to find their own way of life, to find their own benefits, or to find their own needs and requirements, to meet their needs and requirements. People started moving. So earlier the population of Delhi was only 60 lakhs, but at present it has been increased to 8 folds. Now the population, that means approximately the population of Delhi may be near about 1 crore 60 lakhs. That means how much it has been increased. So like this, the population has been increased because of migration of people from nearby areas, nearby vicinities. And now, okay, for example, before 10 to 15 years, that means before a decade, here I have been learned somewhere that Delhi was a center for the education also. Most of the people who aims or who are the conspirants or the aspirants of UPSCs, particularly the civil services, they used to find Delhi as the best place for their coaching centers as well as for their educations. So like that, now okay, we can find the same, the aspirants are finding the better opportunities and better coaching centers, even like Delhi, even in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and in other places also. But earlier it was not that. Earlier it was different. So like this, the people started moving from place to place, okay, from nearby areas to the metropolitan cities in search of like maybe education, maybe health, or maybe different types of work. Major migration is because of the employment opportunities, because of the livelihood. Okay, even in our previous classes we have been learned about the people moving from rural areas to urban areas in search of work. We have been learned in sectors like generation of employment. In that we have been learned people from primary sector, they are shifting towards the secondary sector. Like that means people from rural areas, they are moving towards the urban areas. In turn, because of different factors. Major is for the sake of employment, or some of the people will be there for the sake of their children education. They will be moving from rural areas to urban areas. I have one of my friend who purely belongs to the rural area, but all the way for the sake of his education during our childhood, during our school days, their entire family has been moved to our town where we had a school. In their village they don't have a school. For the sake of this children education, their family has been shifted. The father used to move to the village as well as to this town for the sake of agricultural activities and all the things. Because the livelihood is in village, but the education of their children is in town, so they have been shifted. Likewise, even I have been shifted from my village to Hyderabad town for the sake of my education. So these we call as the migrants. So this migration may be of different. It may be a different case for different person or different situation for different families or people. But the migration is for having a betterment when they are not satisfied or when they are not getting proper facilities or maybe employment or maybe education or the required, the needed basic things, then people plan to shift to the nearby cities or the towns or maybe to other states or other countries also. That is second. So like this, it has been happened. So here we have some other different types of migrants also. Actually, as I said, it's city planning. So the government will be planning a proper plan for a particular city or the town. But unfortunately what happens, they are lacking in their implementation. So in this planning, what actually they plan? Like the infrastructures, like transportation, medical, health, supply of water, sewage, waste disposal, as well as many other things. So when they plan for this, according to the population of that, and they will be expecting, okay, now the population of this city is 1 lakh, another 5 to 10 years it may increase to 1.5 lakh, but unfortunately the increase is more than that what they have been expected. Because see here, many of the people from the rural areas comes to the towns, they don't have proper economical stability or economical capacity to rent a house or to lease a house or something. At that time what they do, they found a open land nearby the cities or at the outskirts or maybe in the middle of the city where they find some open land. There they establish their own settlements with whatever the financial assets what they have according to their own, like maybe a small teen shed or maybe a tapri or something like that, they'll arrange and they'll settle there. After 4 or 5 years when they establish their own settlements there and they found a better place for them there, then the government comes out with a plan. According to the government plan or according to the town planning, in that particular area, that habitat should not be there, that human settlement should not be there. At that time again there is a problem of evacuating them from that place to another place. So this type of problems many arises. Sometimes even by the time the plan comes out, even these people will be getting some proper residence certificates from the government also, or maybe Aadhaar card or voter card or ration card, something also will be getting in their particular address, and they'll be having a proper living, but they don't have any facilities because they are not in the list of the government. That settlements is not in the planning of the government, so the government doesn't provide any better facilities for them, like infrastructure, like maybe supply of water or maybe sewage or maybe waste disposal or maybe proper roads or street lights or any other facilities which need to be provided by the government as a public facilities, that will not be provided to them by the government as these settlements are not in the planning. So like this, these are the different types of things which comes under these settlements. So these settlements will be changing from time to time. See, I have a better example to show this. Nowadays, if you see, wherever if you see, whichever may be the town, whichever may be the city, you can find the digging or the construction of the roads, or the widening of the roads, or the construction of the underground pipeline or the sewage pipelines. Because when they have been constructed these, it was near about more than a decade. For the better knowledge, if I say in Hyderabad city, more than a decade or more than 10 to 15 years ago, they have been constructed the underground sewage system. When compared to today's scenario, the population has been increased tremendously. More than 8 to 10 folds it has been increased. So that is not sufficient. Maybe the roads or maybe the water supplies or maybe the sewage. That is not sufficient for this inflow. So at that time what happened? They need to replace it, they need to expand it, they need to find a source of extension for that. So that again the work will be undergoing. Because of that also people also will be facing problem. But this problem we need to face because the public facilities need to be moderated. It need to be updated according to the grown population. So these small problems also, these small type of problems we will be facing in our day-to-day activities, and the constructions, all this also will be going on. And here settlements will be of three factors majorly. The first one is site. Site means what? That means the place where we are planning to establish our own settlements. Say for example, I want to construct a house. Where I will be constructing a house? Away, completely away from the city, near about some 15-20 kilometers away from the city, or a place where I found all the facilities, all the needed amenities, where I will be constructing. I will construct a house where I found all the amenities. So this site is very much important. Say here we can discuss about an example. The Maratha king, Mr. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. This king has been constructed a fort in Pratapgarh in Maharashtra. So that fort is completely on a hill. Why he has been selected that particular place? Because he found that place as a top on a hill where he can where he can see, where he can have a look in and around the surrounding areas, so that it gives a good reason for the security reasons, and a good perfect security can be arranged from over there. Likewise, even we will establish more and more settlements. If you see, we can find in and around the nearby the river basins where we have good fertility of land. Even we can find in towns and cities because we have development of industries, urbanization, and many other factors. So the first one is site, and the second one is situation. That means what type of situation makes us to settle in that particular area. Maybe employment, maybe education, maybe our poverty, or maybe other factors. And the other thing is the history of the place, and the history of the place. Say for example, as I said, if someone says me that if you go to a town you can earn better according to your profession, so I have been moved. That means here I have the facilities where if I stay in my own town, okay, agriculturally I can develop, but in this field, in the service sector, I may not develop that much faster when compared to Hyderabad city. So I have been moved here. So like that here we have different types of situations or different types of context to person. It is different for moving or for the settlements in a different places. So moreover, Indian settlements are hierarchy. That means for the different reasons. As I settled here, so most of my family members or most of the people will be settled in and around. My relatives, my neighbors, everyone also will be settled in and around. Because when I comes and settles over here, I found one or the other similar work or similarities between the economic activities what my friends or family members and neighbors do. So even I prefer to move them also to migrate to this particular area. They will be establishing a settlement. Not only that, even here they have been, we can discuss about the Visakhapatnam city, which is also called as a port town or the port city. And we can find it has very well connected with the national as well as international and domestic connectivities through the port as well as even road as well as in airway also. So because of this, the Visakhapatnam city has been developed a lot in many of the sectors, like maybe industrially or maybe educationally, transportation, health, education, infrastructural development. All the type of developments can be seen in Visakhapatnam. Even the people from different states like Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, as well as Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, and as well as even from UP, as well as even from the other parts of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. From that parts also we can find people in and around the Visakhapatnam city because of its facilities as well as and its opportunities for the people with its infrastructural development. That also we can find over here in Visakhapatnam city. Like this, we have different types of people moving from one place to another place because of one or the other different reasons. So urbanization in India. What actually is urbanization? So what is this urbanization? Urbanization is that the development of cities and towns. People moving from rural areas to urban areas, which we call as migration. Because of this migration, urbanization happens. Like increase of people, population will be increasing. With the increasing in the population, why population will be increasing? Because of the industrialization. Already we have been learned in our previous classes. Urbanization and industrialization goes hand in hand. Because of the industrialization, urbanization takes place. Because when the industry has been established, for that sake, the workers, even the many other things also goes hand in hand, so that the development happens. So industrialization and urbanization goes hand in hand. So urbanization means development of towns and cities, which provide all the facilities for the people for the betterment of their livelihood, to meet their needs and demands or the requirements, that we call as a urbanization. So here in India, nearly 350 million people stays of these near about approximately one third of the population stays in the urban areas. Earlier in India, we had only one city which has more than 1 million population. But today we have more than 10 cities who has more than 1 million population. Earlier we had only 5.4 thousand of villages in our country, whereas now we have 6.4 thousand villages in our country. So likewise, like this, the more and more, it's 6.4 lakhs of villages in our country at presently. Earlier it was only 5.6 lakh villages were there. At present we have 6.4 lakh villages. Earlier we had only one town, as I said, the metropolitan city which used to call, but now we have more than 8 to 10, and more than towns which has more than 10 lakh population, that we have more than 60 in our country at present. So like this, we have more and more, the urbanization has been increased. Because of with the development in the urbanization, even the facilities are also increased, like maybe education, real estate, health, education, as well as transportation, road system, as well as many other facilities are also developed because of the urbanization. And even the communication, transportation, all these things have been developed along with the urbanization in our country. Now if we see the people whom we call as underprivileged people, or maybe backward people like SCs, STs, or Dalits, or these generally whom we call as SCs, STs, they are earning more in the urban areas when compared to the people in the rural areas. They are earning more than the people who belongs to higher caste or the rich, what you can say, upper caste people in the urban areas when compared to these SC and ST people in the urban areas, because of different types of factors. So urbanization is nothing but the growth of towns and cities. Growth of towns and cities is called as urbanization. So as I said, these different types of urbanization have been occurred because of many reasons. The major reason is industrialization. Because of the industrialization, people started moving from rural areas to urban areas. The migration has been started. Because of this migration, the urbanization has been happened. But because of this urbanization, we are saying we get many facilities like good transportation, good communication, good recreation, health, education, and many more other things. But along with this, even we have some of the disadvantages of urbanization also. Disadvantages of urbanization. The first thing is population growth. Because of this population growth, movement of vehicles will be increased. Because of this, air pollution, noise pollution, water scarcity, like this. So like population growth, because of the urbanization, people will be moving from urban areas, rural areas to urban areas. With this, what happens? The population in the cities will be increased. With the increasing in the population, what happens? People will not sit in the homes. They have been migrated from rural areas to urban areas for the sake of work. So they have to move out of the houses. So obviously the movement of vehicles will be increased. With the increase in the movement of the vehicles, air pollution will be there. All of us know that, because vehicles will be releasing different types of gases which creates harmful to the air, and it creates air pollution. If you see during the summer season, if we move out during the afternoon in the villages, we will find sometimes the blow of the wind. That wind will be cool or else hot. But if you find the same thing, if you experience the same wind blow in urban cities, metropolitan cities like maybe Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, or maybe Chennai, or any other metropolitan city you can take. So they, if you experience that wind, if that air touches your face, if it is in village, definitely you will feel a little bit heat or cold. But here you will feel itching, burning sensation will be there because of the gases, different types of gases, because of the pollution, noise pollution, that also, obviously water scarcity because of over usage of water. Like this, many problems will be occurred because of this urbanization also. Advantages are there, as well as even we have disadvantages also. As we have two sides of a coin. We have two sides of the urbanization, advantages as well as the disadvantages, cons and pros. So when compared to advantages and disadvantages, we have advantages. Okay, very good. There should be urbanization should be there, but along with that, even we need to have proper planning with a proper usage. Many things can be solved. The disadvantages can be overcome up to some extent, not completely, but up to some extent by implementing proper planning and judicial usage of these facilities of the urbanization, the amenities of the urbanization. Because of these urbanization, the cities are growing, expanding. Earlier, city means used to up to some extent, but now cities have been expanded up to that level. The nearby villages are also became part of the metropolitan cities. Like that, the cities also have been developed. So these are the disadvantages of different types of different disadvantages as well as advantages of the urbanizations.